Chapter 1. The Girl Who Never Landed. She never stayed anywhere long enough to unpack twice. Italy, Guam, Norfolk, San Diego. Her life came in 2-year rotations, new schools, new houses, new uniforms, until change itself felt like home. Military brats get used to that. But she wasn't just a military kid. She was the daughter of a ghost. Her father was a Navy pilot, carrier-based, fleet-deployed, combat certified. Then one day, he just wasn't. They said it was pilot error. Case closed, files sealed, reputation erased like chalk in a storm. Her mother never talked about it. But her silence said enough. Don't ask questions. Don't follow his path. Don't fly. Instead, she pushed modeling. Safer, more profitable. She had the looks, sure. Long lines, symmetrical face, camera-friendly smile. But she hated the way people looked at her. Hated how they assumed that was all she had to offer. While other kids played with dolls, she built FA-18 replicas from scratch. While her mom begged her to smile for headshots, she was watching dogfight breakdowns and carrier landing analysis on grainy VHS tapes. She started flight lessons before she could reach the pedals. Read every book on aerial combat before most kids hit puberty. Graduated college in record time, aviation science, top of her class, no social life, no distractions, just flying. But Top Gun? That was the mountain. She applied as soon as she was eligible. Then again, and again. Each time, the same polite rejection. Needs more time in the fleet. Promising but green. Not enough combat hours. What they meant was, she's not one of us. She doesn't belong. She wasn't just young. She wasn't just new. She was too precise, too intense. The instructors called her robotic. The other pilots called her Barbie in a flight suit. None of them knew she spent weekends talking to retired fighter pilots just to steal a slice of their experience. None of them knew she disassembled and rebuilt an entire Pratt & Whitney F-414 engine just to feel the anatomy of power. None of them knew she memorized the entire Russian aircraft inventory and could quote the energy maneuverability curves of a Su-35 like it was bedtime poetry. Her mentors told her she had the skills. Her records showed clean flights, sharp instincts, and exceptional simulator scores. But still, no call sign, no classroom at Fallon, no shot at the sky she knew she was born for. Not yet. So she kept flying, kept learning, and kept wondering, what if my father wasn't reckless? What if they buried the truth along with his name? Because no matter how many hours she logged, how many maneuvers she nailed, or how many instructors praised her, it was never just about being the best. It was about earning back the wings they took from him. And she would, even if it killed her. Chapter 2. The Shadow in Her Six. She didn't cry when the letter came. She went flying, 200 feet off the deck, throttle wide open, engine howling like it wanted revenge. She pulled G's hard enough to black the corners of her vision, over and over, until her body begged for mercy. But mercy wasn't the point. Mastery was. She landed rough, peeled herself out of the cockpit, and walked back to the barracks like she hadn't just thrown a tantrum at 600 knots. That's when she saw him, Reese Maddox, Fleet Golden Boy, 4 combat deployments, fluent in 3 languages, and apparently Top Gun's newest candidate. He leaned against the wall like he owned gravity, smug, relaxed. Noticed her flight suit, smirked. "You're the girl who keeps applying, right?" She didn't answer. Didn't have to. He already knew. "Look, don't take it personal. They need killers, not keystrokes. Top Gun's not an academic scholarship." He thought he was being helpful. He thought he was teaching her something. She walked right past him without a word. But the heat in her chest, that didn't fade. Later that night, she found out he'd been fast-tracked, pulled in by an old instructor who owed his father a favor. Legacy privilege, the kind that worked when your father was a war hero, not a whispered mistake. She watched the announcement video 3 times, paused on the names, saw hers missing. Again. She almost deleted the application from her files. Almost. But then something caught her eye. A line in a declassified flight log, dated 3 weeks before her father's fatal crash. Signed by a name she'd seen once before, Commander Nathan Reese. Reese Maddox's uncle. And just like that, it wasn't just about flying anymore. It was about truth. Because the Reese family got medals. Her family got silence. And if Top Gun wouldn't open the door, she'd blow it off the hinges. So, you still think this is just about jets? Hit that like button if you're locked in. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when truth and throttle finally meet. Because Chapter 3, it's not just turbulence. It's a storm she's done flying under. Drop your call sign in the comments. We're building a squad of underdogs, and every one of them's got something to prove. Chapter 3. Breaking Formation. There were 2 places they told you never to go without orders. Into restricted airspace, and into classified flight logs. She went into both. Not out of recklessness, out of calculation. She knew the system, knew which terminals were monitored, which admin staff had lazy passwords, and what times of day the records office was practically empty. She waited until 0440, same time her father used to wake up before flights. She told herself it was a coincidence. It wasn't. The old terminal in Hangar C wasn't even secure anymore. Not for someone who understood how the Navy stored records across backup nodes. Not for someone who'd spent 3 years reverse engineering debrief tapes just to train smarter. She didn't find much at first. But what she did find? A black mark, a redacted report, a mission scrubbed from history, labeled Joint Allied Exercise, Mediterranean. Outcome, strategic ambiguity. And at the bottom, beneath layers of digital dust, Lieutenant Commander Mark Kincaid. Observer, Commander Nathan Reese. Outcome, flight termination, contested, contested. The word hit like a G-force gut punch. Her father's death wasn't pilot error. It wasn't even confirmed. There was a dispute, a report, a cover-up. And the man connected to it, Reese's uncle, was now a senior advisor for the Top Gun board. She stared at the screen so long the terminal dimmed. Then she stood up, calmly wiped the keys, and walked out like nothing happened. But everything had changed. Because now she didn't just want to get into Top Gun. She wanted to look Reese in the eye when she got there. And she wanted answers. That meant playing smarter, harder, no more simulator perfection. She needed fleet experience, live fire, carrier quals, tactical drills, the kind of flying that turned rookies into legends. or dead men. She put in the transfer the next morning, straight into the fleet, combat ready, high risk. If they wouldn't pick her for Top Gun, she'd force their hand with undeniable flight time. And maybe, if she flew well enough, sharp enough, close enough, someone would start to remember the name Kincaid for the right reasons. Or at least remember she wasn't going away. Chapter 4. Fire in her wake. Carrier life didn't care about your backstory. It cared if you could fly. No excuses, no soft landings, just salt air, sweat, and steel, and a flight deck that gave no second chances. She adjusted fast. Call sign, Brick. Half insult, half respect, because she didn't flinch, didn't break. And once she locked onto a target, sim or live, she brought it down with mechanical precision. But it wasn't enough to be good. She had to be undeniable. First month out, she flew 5 sorties no one else wanted. Weather too bad. Comms too glitchy. She volunteered anyway. Second month, she flew a joint exercise off the coast of Okinawa and beat a veteran squadron leader in a mock engagement with a move he called impossible. What the hell was that maneuver? Old textbook, page 413, she said. Nobody reads that far. I did. Word started spreading. Not just that she was good, but that she was different. Focused like it was personal. Flying like she had a stopwatch ticking in her soul. Then the envelope arrived. No return address, no name. Inside, a single sheet. An old photo, grainy, faded, a debrief room. Her father, and another man, face partially turned. Scrawled on the back in red ink. You're not crazy. Keep flying. V. That was it. No explanation, no signature. But the implication was clear. Someone else knew. Someone inside the system. And they were watching her. That night, she stood alone on the carrier deck, helmet under her arm, the Pacific wind tearing at her hair. She'd come here to prove herself. Now she was chasing ghosts in high-altitude dogfights and getting messages from the dead. But one thing hadn't changed. She was going to Top Gun, and she was going to drag the truth out at Mach 1 if she had to. Even if it meant taking on the Reese family. Even if it meant breaking every rule, because Brick wasn't trying to win the game. She was rewriting it. Chapter 5. The Invite. The call came at 0317. She was mid-push-up. Couldn't sleep. Hadn't slept right in weeks. Lieutenant Kincaid. The voice crackled through the line. This is Fallon. Report within 72 hours. You've been selected. She didn't respond right away. Didn't ask who pulled strings or why now. She just stared at the wall until the click tone died out. Then she packed. 3 hours later, she was in the air. 3 days later, she was standing at the gates of Naval Fighter Weapons School. Top Gun. They didn't roll out a red carpet. No cameras, no fanfare. Just sweat, salt, and a hallway full of eyes. Some recognized her from combat debriefs. Others only knew the rumors. The girl with the ghost dad. The one who won't quit. The pretty one with a vendetta. Reese Maddox was already there. He nodded as she walked in. Cool, confident, not hostile, worse, pitying. Didn't think you'd show, he said. Didn't think you'd still be here, she shot back. Guess we're both full of surprises. The room was full of killers, combat pilots, mission-tested, ego-armored. Every one of them trained to dominate the skies. And now, to dominate each other. First assignment, dissimilar air combat training. They paired her with Reese. Instructor's voice cut through the room like a blade. You're not here to prove you can fly. You're here to prove you can outfly the best we've got. And if you can't, don't waste our airspace. Up in the air, it started civil. Standard tactics, S-turns, climbing reversals. Until Reese pushed her high, hard, and brutal, trying to stall her into panic. She didn't brake. She hit the rudder, cut the throttle, flipped into a high G vertical split, and came out on his 6 in under 5 seconds. Direct hit, simulated kill. The instructors stared. Reese cursed. She just landed silent. No celebration, no smirk. Because that wasn't the moment she wanted. The moment she wanted was coming. Later that night, she checked her locker. Another envelope. Inside it, a photo. Same debrief room. This time. The second man's face was clear. It was Commander Nathan Reese. And this time, the message said, he lied. The logbooks were altered. Keep flying. Don't trust Reese. Signed, V. The sky had always been her battlefield. But now, the war had a name. Chapter 6. Target locked. 3 weeks into the program, she was a ghost with a kill list. Every exercise, she crushed it. Every tactic, she adapted. She wasn't the best talker. She didn't play the locker room politics. But when she got in the cockpit, she owned the sky. They started calling her the Machine. Not out of affection, out of fear. She didn't crack, didn't sweat, didn't miss. Not even when they tried to rattle her. Flight sim sabotage, misinformation in her briefings. A mysteriously accidental switch of her oxygen regulator on a high-altitude drill. But the worst? A sealed packet left in her locker. Inside, an official report. Marked confidential. Do not duplicate. It detailed her father's crash in cold, clinical language. Pilot deviated from authorized mission parameters. Compromised asset location integrity. Result: mission failure, aircraft loss, pilot deceased. It read like a confession, until she flipped the last page. There, handwritten in red. Compare this to page 3 of the original report. Same header, different outcome. The system lied. The lie protects careers. You're next. V. She didn't sleep that night. Didn't eat the next day. But she flew. Flew better than anyone on the tarmac. She was up against Maddox again. Only this time, live fire sim. Real stress. Real stakes. Real consequences. Halfway through the run, her comms dropped. Manual override failed. Backup channels silent. Sabotage. She knew it in her bones. But she didn't panic. Didn't blink. She executed a perfect dogfight without a single word transmitted. Won the drill by outmaneuvering Maddox blind. When she landed, the instructors were furious. What the hell was that? I adapted. This isn't the time for grandstanding. Then check my footage. I hit the mark. Reese cornered her later. You want to get yourself grounded? No, she said, eyes cold. I want the truth. About what? About why your uncle buried my father. That stopped him. For the first time, he didn't have a smirk. Just silence. That night, she got her final note. They're watching now. Be ready. The last name on the flight roster next week is yours. Attached was a flight manifest. Her call sign circled. Top Gun final exercise. Red flag. Live sim. Carrier-based. Paired with Maddox. No instructors, no backup, just 2 jets. 1 mission, and 1 final shot to break the ceiling or crash through it. Chapter 7. Final Flight. They launched at dawn. Carrier wake still steaming in the Indian Ocean. 2 jets, 1 mission, simulated hostile airspace. Search, lock, destroy, return. She'd flown tougher drills, but not with her rival at her wing. Not with everything she believed about her father locked inside the jet next to her. Maddox kept it light. Try not to get lost out there. Try not to lie to me again, she snapped. Silence. Then canopy down, throttle forward. The ocean fell away. The sky opened like a wound. They flew low, wave skimming, radar dodging. Then high, into the cold, thin air where pilots earn their ghosts. The exercise started clean. 1 bogey, 2. Then something changed. 3rd contact. Off radar. Unscheduled. Command, confirm flight path. No answer. Comms dead. Again. But this time, it wasn't sabotage. It was planned. Her gut said it. Her bones agreed. They wanted this to look like an accident, a training mishap. 2 cocky pilots, 1 fatal misstep, another secret buried in salt water. Except she wasn't giving them the ending they wrote. She broke formation, hard roll, nose down, pitched under Maddox and locked onto the phantom contact. What are you doing? His voice crackled. His comms were fine. Of course they were. Ending this. She fired a flare, non-lethal, across his nose. Forced him off track. He pulled back hard, furious. She surged forward, straight into the engagement zone, where the data feed spiked and the bogey suddenly vanished from the board. It was never there. A scripted kill zone, designed to force a mistake. She looped back and landed hard, too fast, almost out of fuel. Deck crew scattered. Officers yelled. Instructors screamed. She walked straight past them, helmet under her arm, eyes locked on the CO. Voice calm. You tried to stage a kill scenario. You left me with no comms, no real target, just a setup. Lieutenant, and I've got it all logged. In-flight footage, system pings, external recordings. And I have this. She held up the final envelope. Inside, the original flight log. The one marked contested, signed by her father, countersigned by Commander Nathan Reese. Your golden boy's uncle falsified the report. My father didn't crash. He refused an illegal order to compromise an Allied position. He died covering for it, and now you tried to erase me for digging it up. Dead silence. Then one voice. From the rear. She's right. It was the old chief. Gray hair, burned skin, sleeves rolled up. I was there. Kincaid took the fall to keep the mission clean, saved lives, paid for it, and they buried it. The room cracked. Maddox stared at her like she'd just pulled the sun out of the ocean. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" he asked. "Because I wanted to earn it, not inherit it." She walked out of the debrief room like a storm that finally learned to land. 1 week later, her name was etched in metal. Kincaid, L. Top Gun Honors graduate. Call sign, Brick. Not because she was cold, because she built something that couldn't be broken. If you felt that flight in your chest, if you've ever chased a truth no one believed in, but you, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories like this one, and tell us in the comments, what would you do if the system tried to write your story for you? We've got more coming, and you haven't even seen what's next.